3.
It's always nice to curl up with a good book. Today, we'll be reading Naked Lunch by William S. Burroughs. We're going to be reading an excerpt from page 81. The old junkie has found a bane. Blood blossoms in the dropper like a Chinese flower. He pushes home the heroin, and the boy who jacked off 50 years ago shines immaculate through the ravaged flesh, filling the outhouse with the sweet, nutty smell of young male lust. How many years threaded on a needle of blood? Hands slack on lap, he sits looking out at the window, dawn with the cancelled eyes of junk. The old queer squirms on a limestone bench in Chapultepec Park as Indian adolescents walk by, arms around each other's neck and ribs, straining his dying flesh to occupy young buttocks and thighs, tight balls and spurting cocks. Mark and Johnny sit facing each other in a vibrating chair. Johnny impaled on Mark's cock. All set, Johnny? Turn it on. Mark flips the switch and the chair vibrates. Mark tilts his head, looking up at Johnny, his face remote, eyes cool and mocking on Johnny's face. Johnny screams and whimpers. His face disintegrates as if melted from within. Johnny screams like a mandrake, blacks out as his sperm spurts, slumps against Mark's body on an angel on the nod. Mark pats Johnny's shoulder absently. Room like gymnasium. The floor is foam rubber, covered in white silk. One wall is glass. The rising sun fills the room with pink light. Johnny is led in, hands tied, between Mary and Mark. Johnny sees the gallows and sags with a great, "Oh!" his chin pulling down toward his cock, his legs bending at the knees. Sperm spurts, arcing most vertical in front of his face. Mark and Mary are suddenly impatient and hot. They push Johnny forward onto the gallows platform, covered with moldy jockstraps and sweatshirts. Mark is adjusting the noose. "Well, here you go." Mark starts to push Johnny off the platform. Mary, "No, let me." She locks her hands behind Johnny's buttocks, puts her forehead against him. Smiling into the eyes, she moves back, pulling him off the platform into space. His face swells with blood. Mark reaches up with one lithe movement and snaps Johnny's neck. Sound like a stick broken in wet towels. That's not grammatically correct. Anyway, we shall continue. A shudder runs down Johnny's body. One foot flutters trapped like a bird. Mark has draped himself over a swing and mimics Johnny's twitches, closes his eyes and sticks his tongue out. Johnny's cock springs up and Mary guides it up her cunt, writhing against him with fluid belly dance, groaning and shrieking with delight. Sweat pours down her body. Hair hangs over her face in wet strands. "Cut him down, Mark," she screams. Mark reaches over with a snap knife and cuts the rope, catching Johnny as he falls, easing him onto the back with Mary still impaled and writhing. She bites away Johnny's lips and nose and sucks out his eyes like a pop. She tears off great hunks of cheek. Now she launches on his prick. Mark walks over to her and she looks up from Johnny's half-eaten genitals, her face covered with blood, eyes phosphorescent. Mark puts his foot on her shoulder and kicks her on her back. He leaps on her, fucking her insanely. They roll from one end of the room to the other, pinwheel end over end, and leap high in the air like great hooked fish. "Let me hang you, Mark. Let me hang you. Please, Mark, let me hang you." "Sure, baby." He pulls her brutally to her feet and pins her hands behind her. "No, Mark. No, 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 no," she screams, shifting and pissing in terror as he drags her to the platform. He leaves her tied on the platform in a pile of old used condoms while he adjusts the rope across the room, and comes back carrying the noose on a silver tray. He jerks her to her feet and tightens the noose. She sticks his cock up her and waltzes around the platform and off into space, swinging in a great arc. "Whee!" he screams, turning into Johnny. Her neck snaps. A great fluid wave undulates through her body. Johnny drops to the floor and stands poised and alert like a young animal. He leaps about the room. With a screaming of longing that shatters the glass wall, he leaps out into space. Masturbating end over end, 3,000 feet down, his sperm floating beside him, he screams all the way against the shattering floor of the sky. The rising sun burning over his body like gasoline. Down past great oaks and persimmons. Ooh, Roger. Swamp cypress and mahogany. To shatter in liquid relief in a ruined square paved with limestone. Weeds and vines grow between the stones, and rusty iron bolts 3 feet thick penetrate the white stone, stain it shit brown of rust. Johnny douses Mary with gasoline from an obscene chimu jar of white jade. He anoints his own body. They embrace, fall to the floor, and roll under a great magnifying glass set in the roof. Burst into flame with a cry that shatters the glass wall. Roll into space, fucking and screaming through the air. Burst in blood and flames and soot on brown rocks under a desert sun. Johnny leaps about the room in agony. With a scream that shatters the glass wall, he stands spread eagle to the rising sun. Blood is gone.
Say that again.
Let me say that again. With a scream that shatters the glass, wait, one more time. With a scream that shatters the glass wall, he stands, spread eagle to the rising sun, blood spurting out his cock. A white marble god, he plummets through epileptic explosions into the old Medjube ride in shit and rubbish by a mud wall under the sun that scars and grabs the flesh into goose pimples. He is a boy sleeping against the mosque wall, ejaculates wet dreaming into 1,000 cunts pink and smooth as seashells, feeling the delight of prickly pubic hairs slide up his cock. And that will do for tonight. This has been Naked Lunch with Clay Finney.